Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedom and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Mat Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country. In the courtrooms of America, Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedom.
The more people know about Obamacare, the less they like it. Obamacare is imploding before our very eyes. Hi, I'm Mat Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. Joining me is Matt Barber, vice president of Liberty Counsel Action. Matt, this rollout that occurred on October 1 was a flop. Very few people could get in. In fact, I think Louisiana had nobody signed up for a number of days. The system is broke. The website has gone down. People who have been able to look around on the website have found that these premiums are far greater than what they anticipated and much more than they can afford.
Yeah, and the devil is in the details. This administration is refusing to answer questions relative to how many people, if anybody, has actually successfully signed up. They touted one individual that allegedly got signed up, and now there's a question as to whether or not that is even an actual person, or whether it was just designed to have somebody to suggest that they had actually signed up. Utter implosion is what we expected. Utter implosion is what is happening. And from here, I think it only gets worse.
I think it only gets worse. We've always said that this will increase the cost of health care, decrease the quality of health care. It is a rationing system. In fact, Elizabeth Hasselbeck on Fox and Friends read a letter that she got from her doctor saying that they will no longer accept private insurance. She likes her doctor. I think a lot of people are going to get letters like that where physicians are moving out of the insurance industry because they can't make any money and it is too bureaucratic. The process and the paperwork is too much. They've got to hire additional staff just to process Obamacare, and at the end of the day, it's just not worth it. So this is not the Affordable Care Act. It's the Unaffordable Care Act, no question about it. I think more and more people are going to see that as they already are.
Well, yeah, and you're hearing story after story now of individuals who supported President Obama, who supported Obamacare, thought that it was going to be the panacea that he suggested, that this was going to be some utopian, everybody's insured for free and nobody has to pay anything. But as we were screaming from the rooftops, that's a fantasy. That's coming from out of la land, and people are getting letters now from their insurers stating that because of Obamacare, he always talks about being the guy for the middle class and lower class individuals are getting letters now saying that their insurance has doubled, tripled, quadrupled, skyrocketed, specifically because of Obamacare. So the wheels are completely coming off this thing. And if the numbers weren't already high enough, the negatives against Obamacare, they're now increasing at a steep rate.
Well, only with the federal government, particularly in Obamacare, would you have a question like this. This is from the Exchange in Kentucky. It's question 39, and it says this. If you are filling out this application on behalf of a person who recently passed away, enter the deceased person's date of death. So you can actually sign up for someone who's actually dead. And in case you think that that was a mistake, the reporter in this particular article contacted the federal government and was told by a representative that the eligibility guidelines, and I'm quoting from this representative, that allow health expenses to be paid for individuals who died while eligible for medical benefits, they can be covered even after they're dead. In other words, this is part of the federal guidelines that you can actually sign somebody up who's dead, even though Obamacare doesn't start until October 1. If they died before October 1, you can actually sign them up and have some retroactive benefits for them even though they weren't eligible because they are deceased. And they said, in fact, it's a good thing to sign them up because they said that it would prohibit people in the future from trying to sign them up to commit fraud.
Yeah.
Now, that's like saying my relative passed away. We didn't have life insurance. It was about 6 months ago, 12 months ago, so I'm going to sign up for a life insurance policy now. I mean, how absurd is this? Only in the federal government would you have something this ridiculous.
Well, when they said, that you can be covered even with a pre-existing condition, nobody knew that meant death as a pre-existing
even
condition.
Death is covered.
Yeah, well, and it sounds like, President Obama has taken his Chicago politics to the extreme. Signing up dead people is something typically you see out of Chicago, Cook County, Illinois.
Well, that's what they do for the voter. So it's no big deal. They've been doing that for a long time.
That's par for the course for this Obama administration.
If you're going to allow them to vote, you might as well allow them to have health insurance benefits as well.
After they're dead.
Obamacare, we've been litigating this since 2010 when it was signed by President Obama. And, of course, our case now is pending at the U.S. Supreme Court. But the situation here, we've always said, is going to be increased health cost. It's not going to be an Affordable Care Act where it brings the health coverage cost down. It's going to be an expensive proposition. Doctors are going to flee. We're starting to see that. A friend of ours, Dr. Juan Torres, an infectious disease specialist down in Central Florida, one of 17, he's now left the private practice because of the bureaucracy of Obamacare. So now in Central Florida, there's at least one less specialist in infectious disease because of Obamacare.
Well, what we have here is they have created an utterly impassable web of red tape. And so everybody is caught up in this web of red tape that is strewn everywhere. The Obamacare, the original bill, was over 2,000, I think around 2,400 pages. But when you add the regulations associated with Obamacare on top of it, you're approaching 15,000 pages of oppressive regulations that drive this thing to a screeching halt. It literally is like having an appendicitis and having to go to the Department of Motor Vehicles to have your appendix removed.
Well, in those 2,400 or so pages, it's essentially only the trunk of Obamacare, because when you're actually reading the bill, for example, there's a section that has only a couple of sentences in Obamacare, and it actually incorporates a particular number of a bill completely separate from Obamacare. And when you go to read that bill, that's another 200 additional pages, and that's strewn throughout Obamacare. And what that particular section is a provision that could not get through the Congress for 10 years, never got a vote because the people who looked at this particular provision rejected it. It essentially allows the Native American Indian tribes to be able to have their own autonomy with regards to Medicaid and other kinds of insurance. So it has never gotten any traction, but because someone needed the vote of that particular senator, they put it in, it's stuck in, and it's part of Obamacare. Something that could never pass on its own is now part of Obamacare. And that's what Obamacare has throughout. So it's thousands of pages of bills, and now tens of thousands of pages of regulations already.
Well, and that's why Obamacare was passed on a strictly partisan line vote. There wasn't a single Republican in the Senate, certainly conservative, that voted to pass Obamacare, because written into the bill is the ability, the unilateral and arbitrary ability for the administration, for the executive branch, to just willy-nilly come up with any rule, anything associated. And when you're taking over, I think it's about over a fifth of the entire economy, our friend Michelle Bachmann has said that Obamacare socialized medicine, which is what it is essentially the crown jewel of socialism. Well, when you're taking over that much of the economy and you have unilateral rule from an administrative and executive standpoint, then they're legislating via regulation.
Yeah, they are. And of course, you've seen the president, how when he can't get anything through Congress and he doesn't like to negotiate with members of Congress, he'll just do it by an executive order or by some administrative rule. He operates as though he is a monarch and has sole authority. Go to Liberty Counsel's website, because we're going to continue to battle against Obamacare. We've done it both in the legislative arenas before Obamacare was passed, and we've been litigating for over 3 years against Obamacare. Our case is pending. And in fact, what we believe will ultimately happen is one of these cases will go to the United States Supreme Court, and at least on the forced funding of abortion, we believe that portion of Obamacare will be struck down, but perhaps even the entire employer mandate. But whether it's in the courts or whether it's in the halls of public policy, we need to continue to fight to make sure that Obamacare does not remain the law of the land, because it is economically devastating, it devastates life, and it is antithesis to freedom. Again, go to Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org. You can also go to some of our other websites, libertycounsel.com, libertycounsel.com, and there you can sign up for a number of petitions, including petitions regarding Obamacare. You can sign up for our Liberty Alert email and also for our regular grassroots action email that gets information to you and gives you a vehicle for how you can respond to these issues that affect family, faith, and freedom. Again, libertycounsel.com or lc.org. That's lc.org.
You have been listening to Faith and Freedom with Liberty Counsel. We hope that we have motivated you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedom. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email updates. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.